Hello and welcome to Nintendo Pals Podcast, episode 22. Tonight, we talk rumored Switch Pro name, Apex Legends potentially coming to Switch, and gamestonks, the stock market crashing due to GameStop. That and more. Alrighty, I am joined tonight by my pal Micahtroid Prime Corruption.
Yeah, okay.
And I am Andros, the floating head of the Lilat system. And we are joined by guest host Captain Tim Treasure Tracker.
I love it. I love how off the cuff you're doing this. This is awesome.
Yeah, I saw Tim's love of Captain Toad, and I had to throw that in there. And then I was like, what could I do for Micah? Oh my, Micahtroid Prime.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah, never been called that before in my life, and don't know how I feel about it.
Well, funny story. Micah's nicknames in high school, he didn't know any of them, but like everybody called him.
Oh yeah.
Everybody called him Jesus Man because he always had long hair and wore sandals.
And sandals. That and Sweats and Sandals guy.
Sweats and Sandals guy, yeah.
This guy, yeah. But yeah, I found out about those like 3 years after high school.
I remember talking to you about it, and I was like, you didn't know people called you that?
Nope.
How did I? And you didn't. But
Awesome.
how are you guys doing tonight, Micah? How's life for you, sir?
Pretty good. I'm just out in a fancy room that's connected to the garage and has no heating, so it is pretty cold in here. But doing pretty good.
Nice. And we are joined from, I should have given you more of an introduction here, Tim, by Tim, who is one of the co-hosts of the Nintendo Dads and also the Discord master for the Nintendo Dads, I'd say. How are you, Tim?
I am doing great. I always, I always mention on the Nintendo Dads, I always look forward to doing the podcast because it helps break up my week of all the normal day-to-day adulting stuff, you know, and the craziness, especially even the more craziness that's been going on lately, right? So, and then when you guys invited me on, I was thrilled to be on and talk about more Nintendo stuff and just like so I'm excited.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you on, and we've got quite a show lined up. We reached out to the community, and the community responded with quite a few questions. So we're gonna have
that's pretty cool.
Good time there. But let's jump over.
A lot of notes. Got answers for that.
Nice.
Tim's got all the notes, and we're experimenting this week with a video version of the podcast, so people can actually see those notes. That should be pretty exciting. Hopefully, this works out, and I don't have to edit out that part that I just said. So, yeah. So let's move over to the first segment of our show, which is Whatcha Playin. In tonight's Whatcha Playin, I guess we'll kick it off with Tim. Do you want to talk about what games you've been playing lately?
Sure. Actually, I'm just pulling out my Switch here to make sure I don't forget anything. But I'll stick to, well, there's the usual Animal Crossing, right? Especially with the latest launch. I've jumped into that to try to see what I could get. Got the, seasonal items right out the gate yesterday, and then I haven't had a chance to jump in yet today, but I guess if you keep going to the store, you'll get the reactions, I guess, too, in the store, in Tom Nook's store. So, because I guess it's on a card. You go in there and buy it in the same place you can buy your tools or things like that. I guess it's in there. So
that's new. That's the first time they've done buying reactions, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Because it's what they were talking about in our Discord, so I'm looking forward to see if that happens. So, cool. But I'm always playing Animal Crossing, so that's always my biggest number of hours in a game. You know, when Nintendo sends you that email, you get the number of hours. That's usually the biggest. And then I actually downloaded the Bravely Default Final Demo 2 to try it out, and not because I'm a Bravely Default fan. Actually, I didn't get into it when it was on the 3DS. I actually I tried it. I think it was the demo there too, and then just was like, this is not my kind of game. And I knew it wasn't my kind of game, so I skipped the last game that came out for it. And then this one, I was planning to skip it, even the demo, and until Nintendo, also in that same email where it gives you the number of hours, said, hey, if you play the demo, you'll get 100 platinum points or coins. And I was like, I will do that for the demo. I'll play the demo for the points. Give me the platinum coins, because I'm saving up those platinum coins for whatever Zelda 35th items they might put in there, or even possibly Metroid 35th, stuff. So, we'll see. Yes.
As long as they don't scrap it.
Right. And then Disjunction is actually a game that I'm reviewing right now, or going to do a Let's Play on, but I'm jumping in to kind of get familiar with it. And it's basically a cyberpunk type game. And it's funny how a lot of these games, there's a lot of games that are coming out that have that cyberpunk aesthetic or theme. And this is another one. And it goes along the lines of the hyper drift type animation.
Kind of like a pixely top down.
Yes. Yeah. So it has that animation in it. The graphics. The story is it's like 2039. You have to figure out a conspiracy of what's going on in this. It's not necessarily post-apocalyptic, but it's like it's the rich versus the poor, and the leader of the poor people was set up or framed for the murder of the police chief, I guess, and by being surrounded by all these drugs called shards, and then you have to go investigate, was he truly on these drugs, and did he truly do this, this murder, because it's going to impact the city as it is right now on the brink of destruction, essentially, between these two, economic type groups, so
foreshadowing our news segment there, Tim.
So, but yeah, it's
just kidding.
Just that information is, kind of, it sets you up, and I found it was very interesting how it does it too, because it gives you a snippet of what the story is, but then you can hover over certain keywords to learn about more details about the character or the city or other things. So you can either get the gist of it, or you can dig deeper by highlighting, hovering over those highlighted words. But without going too deep into it, it's essentially it's a stealth type game where you're going into the shadows, trying to find out the information. I just played like the first floor of the building that I had to go in to try to investigate, but you're trying to get by these bad guys sneakily. You can take them down by either silently take them down, or you can sneak by them by using smoke bombs to distract them and make them go somewhere else, or you can tase them, and then you can shoot them, and then if you haven't caused an alert or anything like that, or if you snuck up to them and broke their neck, you can drag their body off into the shadows and nobody will see it, when other people are walking around. So I really like the stealth type games. I haven't played one in a long time, and I mentioned this on the show yesterday, but it was I think the last one I really dug was, and this will probably age me or show the last time I played a stealth type game, which is Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation 1, where you had to do a lot of stealth stuff in that game. So it's like I had a lot of fun with that. And I think there was even the virtual, I forget what they called it, but there was Metal Gear Solid where there was like a virtual ops or something like that you could play, where you could do kind of like some of those things. But if you like stealth type games, it seems like still a good bit of action and story, but some really cool stealthy effects. So I would say give that a go if you have the means to check out Disjunction is what it's called.
Nice.
Sorry if that was long-winded, but that's what I've been playing.
Good.
No, that sounds like a cool game. I'll definitely be checking that one out. I enjoy the stealthy. I like games where it gives you the option to just be kind of the pacifist stealth person, where you can make it through the level without killing any enemies.
Right. It seemed like that you get that option, but right off the bat, I started breaking people's necks. So I don't know if that's about me, but that's what I did. Just snuck up behind him and went,
I'm the same way in stealth games. I
Yes.
don't go full out, but I do essentially murder everyone I come across.
You got to live up to the Murder Man Micah
Murder Man
nickname.
Micah. Yep.
One of the other nicknames from
Yeah.
high school.
Except that wasn't given to me by other high school students around the school. That was just our friend group. To clarify.
Yeah, no, that is a good
Mainly when
clarification.
playing Super Mario Bros. I don't remember which one exactly.
That was on the Wii U, I think. Super Mario Bros. U. Yeah. Well, awesome, Tim. I guess I can go next. You're talking stealth games. That kind of segues really great into the game I was just playing recently, which is Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Which there is a level that I struggled with for a little bit, because each of the levels has like a little bonus mission you have to do, right? And it was to get by all the Shy Guys without getting spotted. And I didn't realize until very late that hitting them with a turnip and just killing them, that counted. I thought that you had to sneak around, and there were spots where it was like dang near impossible without taking one out. Like I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this, because you're on a ladder where everybody behind you can see you, and then if you go up too high, the person on top could see you. I was like playing Hitman. It's
right, yeah,
Captain
definitely.
Toad Hitman. But yeah,
I didn't know those two genres crossed, did you?
I'm enjoying Captain Toad. I really like that. And then kind of along the same lines of a puzzle solvey type game, I also played some more of the Pillar Puzzle Escape, which is a review code I got from the Nintendo Dads, actually doing a review for you guys. And I'm still really enjoying it. I hit a point where I had to look up how to get an answer, because you had to input a 4-number combo into a lock, and I could not find the number. I walked around the level for like 20 minutes, couldn't find it. I was like, I'm just gonna have to look it up. And it was still pretty difficult even after looking it up, like where the numbers were, because I had to position my camera just right to be able to see. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that's playing, but it was tough.
You're giving hints.
Level 3 was my playtime on that was longer than the previous 2 that I did in my first look. So I think it's gonna be quite a bit to the game. After I did that and the following level, I was like, yeah, that's a pretty good play session. So I hopped out. It was fun. I'm enjoying it.
Very cool.
And then besides that, I guess now would be a good time to talk about the final game we did for our game club last year, which we've just been forgetting to talk about, which is Feudal Alloy. A good like Metroidvania type game where you play as a fish. It's
suit of armor.
In a suit of armor, like a fish robot in a suit of armor. And that game was actually quite a bit of fun. I have not completed it. I know Micah did complete it, but the portions I played, I really enjoyed, like getting the power-ups. It doesn't really hold your hand, but it also doesn't... I didn't get lost too often. So it felt like it hit the genre very, very nicely, the Metroidvania genre nicely. I guess that's really all I have to highlight, besides we're still playing Wii Party and Wii Sports every day. That's my son's new thing.
That is awesome.
Yep.
Those are always fun to play with kids. Yes.
Oh, and I guess on that front, he doesn't listen to this podcast. I mean, he's like 3, so, but he is getting for his birthday from my mother-in-law. They're giving us their Wii U because she heard he was really into the Wii right now. Her kids don't use it anymore. They're all older, some in college age. So we're gonna get a Wii U. I'm pretty excited about that because I haven't had one since I moved out from. Well, Micah and I kind of shared it when we were rooming together for college. And It's Micah's, though. So I don't think I've never owned my own Wii U. I'm part of the problem why they keep porting everything to the Switch.
Yeah.
But that's it for me.
What
Micah,
Miyamoto was talking about.
yeah.
You're the reason.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. Yep.
So I did end up finishing Feudal Alloy, and I actually believe I went through and 100%ed it, found all the collectibles.
That is crazy.
I kind of dig doing those kinds of things with most games, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
Did you get an extra cutscene at the end or something?
I'm pretty sure there's absolutely nothing. But it was fun. Yeah, it was almost a surprise when it ended, I guess. I guess a little bit of a spoiler. There's only like 2 bosses. And so I didn't even realize the second boss I was fighting was like the boss of the whole game. But yeah, I think I put around 15 hours into it. So it was good.
Although I did download this game because of you guys, because you guys were talking about it back then, but I didn't get a chance to play it yet, so it's in my backlog.
If you're craving a good 2D Metroid, it was very reminiscent for me of 2D Metroid games. I really dig the art style as well.
Yeah.
I remember Dan talking about it a lot too. So
yeah, he loved the game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that championed it as the game club game.
Nice.
Yeah, the main boss did take me about 15 seconds extra to beat at the end because the kill animation kind of reset every time I punched it, so I didn't fully realize the boss was defeated yet. I just kept smacking it a bunch, and it's like, oh, he's taking because sometimes he takes enough damage to reel back a little bit, and I was like, man, he just keeps doing that and is not attacking anymore. This is kind of weird, and I finally let it sit and realized he was dying. But overall, it was a really fun game and really well made.
Beat him while he's down.
Yeah. So once I realized, I also had a little bit of fun just smacking him some more.
That's a good game, and it was for a good cause. Wasn't he going out and retrieving all the goods for the retirement home?
Yeah, the retirement home robot fish.
Yeah,
I can't remember. They stole all the oil or something. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, he was an oil farmer who loved his job. He was a good character.
Oh yeah, and he created it was eco-friendly oil from corn, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah, it was the most wholesome origin story for a character.
Yeah,
that you could have. Yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah. I guess besides that, I just got back into Hades a little bit, trying to... I'm not going to end up 100%ing Hades because some of the decorations you have to buy are super expensive, and I don't need to decorate that. I don't feel the need to decorate that bad, so... But I do have one last thing I think I have to do before I will feel like I completed it.
Nice. Well, cool. That's what we've been playing. Quite a variety of games today. We covered stealth, puzzles, platformers, beat 'em ups. It's good stuff. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll jump right over then to the next segment of our show, which is the Nintendo News. Alrighty. So we don't have a ton by way of news, but there are a couple things that have transpired since we last talked. One, a new Monster Hunter Switch design was announced. It hasn't been officially announced for the US yet, but it has been announced for everywhere else, and it's going to get eaten up like crazy because it looks very good. Have you guys seen the design?
Yeah. I think it looks good.
It looks totally awesome. I want it. As soon as it becomes available in the US, I may put a pre-order in it if I can. If I can't get it, I can't get it. I'm not going to try to port it or anything, I think.
I'm going to hold out because well, first off, I have a Switch, so I don't need another one. But if I'm going to get another Switch, so here's the thing. I am worried that I'm going to get one of these. I like go, oh man, yes, I want one of these. And then like the next day, or like as soon as I put in the order and can't cancel it anymore, it's gonna be like Switch Pro. Yeah, it's gonna come. Switch Pro is gonna be announced, and I'm gonna
Super
miss out.
Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, so I'm on the fence, but if I am gonna get just a standard model, like an upgrade from my current one, I will wait for a Zelda.
Zelda 35.
Yes, it's gotta
could be happening soon.
That's why I'm not too worried about it. If I don't get this one, I'm sure there's got to be a Zelda one. We got the Mario one. We getting this one. Yeah.
Okay, they made a special edition for Fortnite. They gotta do it for Zelda. Come on, right. They can't skip that. They can't skip that. So yeah, I'm excited. I love getting new variations on the console design. It very much reminds me of the DS and Wii era, where you could get all these variations in colors and designs. The DS especially was awesome for that. So
like it's not like over the top, which I feel like a couple of the editions have been with. I'm not too into the really bright colors and things, but so I really like how this one looks, especially the Pro Controller. I think that's the best looking part.
The controller looks awesome.
The Pro Controller does look really good.
So,
yes.
If I had more friends, I might have to pick up one of those.
Yeah, I guess it would if it was like the 3DS, although I guess you can't count like the 2DS ones, the special editions they did for a limited time, like the Hyrule Warrior Shield, or Hyrule Shield, sorry. Hyrulean Shield. If I can get it out. 2DS. And, things like that where they had the special editions, and that was harder to find after a while. But most of the time, if they came out with a special edition 3DS, 2DS, you could still find it. Like, it came out, you didn't have to worry about, is it ever going to be available? Whereas these things, seems like lately, that the special edition Switches are limited, or you won't be able to find them because everybody's snatching them up. So you can't sit on it. It's like, I would love to be able to say, yeah, this Monster Hunter one looks really sweet, but I'm going to wait to see if they come out with the Zelda one. And if the Zelda one comes out, if I like it, then I go with that one. If I don't like it, then I can go back and buy the Monster Hunter one. I don't have that choice, unfortunately. I feel like I have to buy the Monster Hunter one because it won't be available, and that's what's frustrating now.
Yeah. And that's been a problem for every company's consoles lately.
Right.
It's just been like, if you don't get it right when it's out,
scalpers will get it.
It's gone forever. Yeah, well, you could always just buy one right away. I guess keep it in the packaging until you hear about a Zelda one, and then you could probably sell it to someone else for the same price.
Or you could
has
scalp.
Been opened. Oh, exactly. Yeah, throw in a couple extra dollars.
Yeah, it's true. That's a good
idea. That
idea.
also seems like a lot of effort. I'm
a
really lazy person.
I'm with you on that one. It's like, okay, I'm going to sell it. You come pick it up. I don't want to mail it out.
Yeah.
Well, since we're on the subject of, scalping and money, let's talk about some stock market. So, in the news this week, there's been a lot of attention for GameStop stock. And for those that don't know, don't understand, like myself, I did find a pretty good explanation online, and I'm going to try and recite that somewhat, but we'll probably mess it up. So I'm just going to give a very watered down version of what's happening here. Basically, these hedge funds, giant pools of money, and run by investors working for very wealthy people and who are very wealthy themselves, buy out stock options. Let me backtrack here. They will borrow stocks that they believe are going to short sell. So they will borrow them, sell them off, and then buy them back at the lower price when the stock goes down, and hopefully and they'll pocket the difference. So it'd be like if I were to be like, hey, Micah, can I borrow your copy of Paper Mario Thousand Year Door? And then I go out and I'm like, okay, I know that next month the price on this is going to drop like from $100 for a copy to $50 a copy. So I'm going to go sell it, and then I'll have $100, and then next month I'll buy it again, and I'll give Micah back his 1,000-Year Door, and I'll have $50, and I can get my own 1,000-Year Door or whatever, what have you. And that's essentially the plan. That's the plan by these wealthy investors. But coming in from the...
Here comes Reddit.
Yeah, here comes Reddit. A group on Reddit called Wall Street Bets, I believe, was the Reddit channel name, the sub name, where they decided to team up with as many people as they could get. They just like everybody went in and invested on GameStop stock, which jacks up the price. So they're artificially inflating the price. And so these guys that have borrowed their copy of Paper Mario 1,000-Year Door, who were betting on it going down to $50, oh no, it's now quadrupled. It's $400 for a copy. And I don't have one because I've sold it off, and now I need to buy it. So then they have to, they essentially have to take a loss and to try and get it back so they can return the stock that's been borrowed. And this has been huge profits for the Redditors in this case, or several of the Redditors have just made tons of money. I saw one story out there where a person had invested $4,000 and that had jumped to $67,000, which is like a yearly salary, a nice yearly salary. It's crazy. Just crazy. And so, I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts on the whole situation and it's been very meany, like
yeah,
very, very goofy.
I have to say, I like your explanation a lot. That helped. That helped
good.
me. Yeah, especially using that 1,000-Year Door example.
I had no idea what was actually going on, but now I do.
Now, yes. You need to clip this out and post it out there for people.
This is what's happening. This is how I explained it.
And then you can just dub in different things for 1,000-Year Door for like different target audiences.
you make sure you use a robotic voice or Siri or something.
Yeah, I'm blown away. I think it's hilarious as a sideline viewer that stock has inflated for GameStop, BlackBerry, Blockbuster, AMC, all these things that have just kind of
haven't been doing too well.
Well. And these guys, and they're doing it a lot through the Robinhood app, which I think is very fitting because we got Robinhood in here stealing from the rich and giving to the poor.
Yeah. Although I did hear there's some issues with that. They stopped a lot of the selling of some things, so a lot of people are not too happy with them. Yeah.
I'm just concerned about the impact. Like what is the overall impact this is going to have? With overall, it's difficult to get mad because obviously it was the Wall Street's been doing this for years, and now they're getting mad because somebody else is doing it. So it's just like it's like okay.
yeah, how the tables have turned.
Right. So that part I'm not mad at or upset about. I just kind of laugh. And yeah, it would have been cool if I would have, known about it, jumped in on it. Yeah,
Tim,
I would have jumped in on it.
We were literally talking about this at the dinner table like 3 weeks ago. If we had bought
we were talking about yeah, I know. We were talking about GameStop and the Chewy guys taking over, on the board, and the potential, and the stock jumped up just from that. And I was telling the guys yesterday, it was like, yeah, I was this close to buying some just because of that conversation, like the potential of how their ideas will help turn around GameStop into an more e-commerce type company. And it showed some promise, but I just don't do that kind of stuff often. So I'm not that familiar where to go jump in and do that, even in my own 401k, or anything like that. So I don't play enough around with that. So it's just my lack of knowledge in that area is what stopped me.
Yeah.
But with all that aside, looking at it, like you said, from outside looking in, hearing about this, it's funny in some aspects, and the other aspects, the adulting side of me, the adult side, is like what kind of impact is this going to have on things, and with Wall Street and with the economy and all that kind of stuff, is there some sort of negative impact that's going to happen? And I'm just not that familiar with the kind of thing to understand if it will.
Yeah, same.
Can't people just keep doing this, I guess, with just random stocks?
Right.
Like,
I'm going to guess.
Where does it stop?
I'm going to guess that these hedge funds are going to, these people running hedge funds are going to get smarten up, and there's going to be a lot less short selling. They're not going to be trying that strategy for investments, and maybe that's a good thing. So that there's not like the heavy changes. I don't know. I don't know enough. I'm not a financial expert in any way, shape, or form.
But I've learned a lot from this. I'll tell you that. Like what your example was, like I said, it helped me understand it a little bit more, even more so than it was even before. But so I'll give it that. I've actually learned a lot more about the stock market because of this.
Saw several jokes out there that, Animal Crossing has taught everybody the turnip market, and they're now applying what they've learned to the real world.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know.
Everything.
we didn't all go in and buy turnips to steal from Tom Nook. That's not exactly what happened there, but
yeah, well, I mean, you're essentially stealing from him when they buy them back.
I mean,
for
but that's
so much money.
That's Timmy. Is it Timmy or Tommy you sell to? I can't remember.
It's both. Timmy and Tommy.
I mean, they both need to be fired.
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, I'm really hungry for some turnip soup or something. Can I buy all 5,000 of your turnips for $10 million or bells?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yep.
Well, that's all that we've got today to talk about for Nintendo news. So let's move to the rumor mill. And as Tim has already mentioned in the show, there is a new rumored name for the Switch Pro, which is the Super Nintendo Switch.
That is so awesome that there. I didn't realize it was a rumor because I brought it up yesterday again. Like I said, like on our show, I said, "What if we just call it the Super Nintendo Switch or the Super Switch or whatever?" And they weren't keen on it on the show. But
well, they're fools.
I love it.
I'm all for it. It's
that's
very
probably
reminiscent.
how the rumor got started, though.
It's very reminiscent of the NES to SNES. I mean, but it won't be a full console leap. But I think Super Nintendo Switch, the Super Switch, has a nice ring to
it. I've heard lots of people talk about this when they were talking about at the time the Switch Mini and the Switch Pro coming out at the same time, back when those rumors were going, that they were talking about, what's the next Switch going to be called or something like that. Is it going, the next iteration, is it going to be, and people were talking or joking about being the Super Switch or the Super Nintendo Switch, and thought it would be kind of cool going along that theme,
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything new before. That's why I was joking about it yesterday. It was just like Super Nintendo Switch. Everybody thinks that's kind of cool or not. It was kind of a fun debate, but yeah.
It's popping up in headlines with that reported name. So we'll see if that's what comes to pass. And we might have to wait till next year. I don't know. Who knows if it's coming. It's still nothing is set in stone on even if it even exists.
Maybe that's the real reason.
SNS. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so maybe that's the real reason Metroid Prime 4 was delayed, so they could put it on the Super Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
A little Breath of the Wild situation.
Might be. And then also in the realm of rumors, there's also been supposedly a release date was slipped in for Apex Legends, which would be coming this Tuesday, in a tweet by the Japanese Nintendo account. And there was a pre-order that went up or something like that. It's all hearsay, and nothing I've verified myself. I did see the tweet, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's coming. It just, yeah. So Apex Legends this coming Tuesday, the February 2nd, which is the start of the next season for Apex Legends. And Tim's personally invested in this. He's currently got a bet going with Justin of the Nintendo Dads. So I don't know, Tim. I'm kind of leaning with you. I really think it would be quite a shadow drop for it to come such short notice with no fanfare leading up to it.
Yeah.
Nintendo's been doing that lately, but not with third party. They've been doing that with
now that you mention it, they did the Fortnite that way.
They didn't Fortnite kind of shadow drop.
They shadow dropped it for E3.
That's true.
But that is something that like everyone's gonna watch, or like most gamers
heavily
gonna watch.
Rumored. Yes, it was heavily rumored up to that point that would happen. Just like this is heavily rumored, so it is possible.
You never know,
and it does make sense that it could be shadow dropped in a partner direct. That would make a lot of sense if they dropped one Monday or something, so or Tuesday morning, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
If that partner direct comes out, I'm gonna be like, oh, I lost my bet. Because I already know it's gonna be in there.
How hilarious would this be? I would watch the live stream with you guys just to see Justin's reaction to it not being in after they announce a partner direct. I really hope it comes. I'm giving him a hard time, but I do think that
I do too. I told him this too. I said that I'm making this bet so it does happen for you because I want it to happen for you. Because if I make a bet that it's going to happen in May, the opposite's going to happen. It's going to happen when you say it's going to happen. So
wow, we need to start making bets on
lots of bets
on Metroid Prime 4,
Breath of the Wild.
Yes. So make a bet with me, and whatever I say, it's going to be whatever you say. So
Waluigi and Smash.
Yes. Yep. So I always got to make sure I do the opposite of what you want. So, but yeah, definitely. I would tell my work, I'm sorry, I can't go to your meeting right now. I have to do a live stream of this partner direct just so we can find out whether I have to buy Justin a game or if Justin has to buy me a game.
When they have like a full trailer for Apex Legends and make it seem like it's about to come out, but then they're like, psych, it's actually next year now. We're pushing it back.
next season. They do a full trailer and they're like, coming in May.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that would be cruel. Yeah, along those same lines, I posted in our Discord community talking about Spelunky 2 and how that was just given a vague summer of 2021. And man, it sucks because you're like, well, what does that mean? That could be August 31st is when it is coming out. I hope not.
That's exactly when it's happened.
Yeah, I had forgot. The thing is, they announced that game so far out. I keep forgetting about it and then remembering it and getting excited and then going,
oh man, is it like almost out yet? It's like, wait, no, still a while.
I held out for so long because I wanted to get it so bad. When it first launched, and they were like, it's a PlayStation exclusive. I'm like, dang it. And then it came to Steam, and I was very tempted. I was like, well, I could get it, I guess. But I'm like, it has to come to Switch. It makes no sense to not come to Switch. So I held out, and I'm glad I did. I'm going to keep going, keep holding out until it comes.
I actually had it for my Vita, Spelunky 2, and I took it.
You mean the
Spelunky
original?
I had Spelunky on there. Yeah. And I took it off because it's coming out for the Switch. So I was like, that's another game I can take off my Vita. I don't need to have on there.
That's a fantastic game. I'm very excited for the online co-op. Micah and I will be playing quite a bit of that for sure. Because it's split screen. I don't know if you saw that. We talked about it a little bit on the show.
Yeah, I think,
Which the first one was not. Multiplayer, you all shared a screen, and it was horrible.
Someone's in danger and has to just like book it somewhere, and the other guy's like, well, player 2, I'm assuming, which was, I'm pretty sure me every time. I guess I'll die now.
You were playing co-op in Sonic the Hedgehog with Tails. Sonic, it's like that. It's exactly like that.
Keep losing Tails, and then they come flying back on, and then you just speed off again. But Tails does have all the cool abilities, so bounces out just a little bit.
Yeah, and it was playable and we did it, but I'm very excited for split screen. I'll just leave it at that. I'm so excited that they fixed that. Yeah, we're always looking for good multiplayer cooperative games. It's hard to come by that, and I'm glad so many games are starting to build that in. We're getting that with 3D World. I went to actually physically pre-order this at GameStop, and I completely butchered it. I walked up and I was like, "Hey, I'd like to pre-order Mario 35." And I left and turned to my wife. I'm like, I'm embarrassed.
Did you just turn and walk out?
I host a podcast on Nintendo and I couldn't remember the name of the game I'm pre-ordering.
You have to just leave and then send your wife in later to order it without you.
Yeah. So, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Luckily, the cashier didn't quite know the name either, so they were like, "You mean the Bowser's Fury one?" And I'm like, yeah, that one. I probably looked so goofy. But, yeah, so I'm excited for that one to come out with the online multiplayer. We played a lot of Risk of Rain 2 last year. And we play a lot of Fortnite.
This seems like yeah.
So we do a lot of online co-op games. Glad it's becoming more of a trend.
Yes.
So just kind of sad. It seems like a lot of games are kind of moving away from local co-op.
Yeah.
Especially on Steam.
COVID was only enhancing that as like there's not really a need to have it because not a lot of people can do local co-op. But it's a bummer because couch co-op is always the better experience if you have the option.
I always believe in options and choices, so give players choices so they could do both.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, if you have online co-op, it doesn't seem like it'd be too difficult to add in some local, but who knows?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. It seems like it'd be more difficult to implement online co-op than local.
Right. It does seem that way. Like,
'cause you have to deal with all the networking.
Yeah.
The Boomerang Fu game is something I really enjoy playing local on with my son, but I thought it would be really cool if you could do it online, and they just don't offer that. It's just local.
Yeah, Enter the Gungeon's another one where it only has local, and I wish it had online. You can see why it doesn't. Right. Like for games like Boomerang Fu and Enter the Gungeon, the lag might just not be really doable because they're very specific. I mean, we've all played Smash Online and regret it.
It's definitely better than it used to be.
That's true.
It has gotten better. Yes.
Well, that's all that I've got as far as rumors go. You guys haven't heard any other rumors going around? That's all I've got.
Prime 4 Shadow Drop Christmas Day this year.
I bet you it's next year.
Yeah. Take that bet. Well, with that, let's jump over. We actually, so Tim garners quite the fan base for Metroid Prime and Metroid in general. So we've got quite a good Metroid focused community corner this evening. So let's jump to the community corner. And if I could just get that out, I could talk. So I'm very excited to go through some of these questions here. And let's just start off the bat with a question from Discord we got from @$2Hero, our pal Seth, who's on the All N Nintendo podcast, where I was a guest this week. While I'm mentioning it, I'll plug over to them. So that should come out soon. We had a good discussion. Maybe if we have time after, we'll talk. We'll talk to the point a little bit there. But cool. Seth asks, if you could use your psychic ability to will Nintendo into doing any one thing this year to celebrate Metroid's 35th, what would it be? Yeah.
every single Metroid game in a bundle for $5 on the Switch.
I like your thinking there. I'm sold.
I mean,
Where's my money? Where's my pre-orders?
yeah, with a lot of cool pre-order bonuses, like all these amiibos and posters and stuff.
Yeah, I would actually be really down for some of the physical merch to come to the My Nintendo Rewards. That would be very cool. Posters and they just did a ceramic piece for Age of Calamity, like an art piece that you could get.
Yes.
That would be cool to get something like that.
So I wrote down 6 things that I would will them to do. 6 things.
6 things.
And what you said goes right into what I said for number 1. Blow up my Nintendo with 35th anniversary items and collectibles that I can use my coins on.
So
Blow it up.
Metroid pins.
Just Metroid this and that and everything for the 35th anniversary. So even if it's, the same things but with Metroid stuff, like I would that Mario zip up pouch thing they had on there, like it had Mario's face on it and you could unzip it type of thing. I would take a Metroid one of that with the S logo on it. I would totally get that, and I would probably run out of coins on that. But anyways, all right, so number 2, give the original Metroid game, the Fire Emblem 30th anniversary treatment.
So you get like a fancy glass.
That glass thing, yes,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I would dig that.
Yes. Number 3, release Zero Mission Infusion on new Game Boy, Game Color, Game Boy Advance section of NSO.
Okay, so not a remake. You want the originals ported. That's good.
Yep. Fusion, so that would be all online.
Fusion is probably the Metroid game I've played the most of, and I loved it. That's such a good game.
Yes. And it's the last in the timeline, so I would hope they would have a sequel for that. But I'll digress. That's something else I have on my list. So, number 4, port Metroid Samus Returns to Switch. And I think that even answers another question later on. But yes, port Metroid Samus Returns to the Switch, because Doug Bowser did say there were some 3DS games they were working on porting to the Switch a couple of years ago.
Have we gotten any?
We have not, I don't believe.
Except for maybe Clubhouse 51 Games was it's not really a port though.
That was a DS game though. He specifically said 3DS, if I remember correctly. I'd have to go back to that article. It was a couple of years ago, like towards the end of 2019, I think is when he said it.
Yeah, Samus Returns needs to come. Yes. Yep.
Yes. Number 5, release new 2D game. And number 6, and the 2D game would go along with, I think would be the Metroid Fusion 2, because there needs to be a sequel to that, I believe. And then number 6, at the end of the celebration, do the Animal Crossing Metroid theme stuff.
Good call.
That would probably get me back into some more Animal Crossing, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've hopped on, but I think that would do it.
Yes. So that's the kind of love I want to see. That's what I wanted to see for, we kind of seen it through Mario, right? We see a lot of that love there. Hoping to see kind of that love there with Zelda, because Zelda's another, favorite franchise of mine, as you can see everywhere, that, my hat. But Metroid, definitely. I want to see it given some love, so.
So I'll jump in and give a quick answer to this question. I think a movie. Now
that's what I was going to say. A good movie.
Let me pitch this real quick. I believe that Metroid is the prime. That wasn't intentional. Candidate, a prime candidate to be a Nintendo live action film, just because of the setting and the character.
You're echoing my thoughts on this.
Oh, this is great.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I don't want to corrupt your thoughts on this.
Yeah. I believe.
Goodness.
I I think that it would be a really cool like sci-fi. I wouldn't say horror, but like a suspense film maybe, but with like action. That doesn't have to have much dialogue because that's not how the game goes. And there have been some successful movies out there that the characters do not speak much recently, that have been like kind of survival type movies. And I think this is a good candidate for a film. If Nintendo's going to make a live action film, I would have thought they'd do Metroid before Detective Pikachu. So, and then
who would you have direct it?
Oh man, that's
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds himself.
Yeah, I don't know enough about directors.
Yeah, I'm trying to think
John
like
Barbara. Let's give it to him.
Oh yes,
Oh,
hands down. The wire. Yeah, for sure. I would also take a series. I think a series would be cool, but a movie would be also very cool. We just need to launch the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. Let's do it. Let's get that going. So that's my answer.
Culminates in Smash Brothers movie.
And then, so Seth asks as well. For this is specifically for Tim. Says, I admire your furious facial fuzz as a fellow beardsman. How is that beard game so strong?
Every now and then I'll do a pro cut. I'll get someone else to cut it for me to trim it up, and that way it'll start growing out a little bit more even. Because for the longest time it was just a COVID beard, so it was like all getting all straggly down here, and like growing out, and like one of the pictures, or if you see my picture that Adam did for me that he drew, you could see it just kind of like all shaggy down here.
Oh yeah.
But I got it trimmed up to help it grow a little bit more fuller. So I think every now and then you have to go see someone professional to help you trim it up. Especially when it gets out of control, because it's so hard to do in your own bathroom. Otherwise, you're gonna have to sweep up all that hair.
Yeah, my beard game would be strong if I enjoyed having a beard. I hate it. I have to shave every day. Getting to the point where I might have to shave twice a day, which sucks. Shaving stinks.
Yeah, it does stink, which is nice that I just essentially don't grow facial hair. The only facial hair I grow is in a slight goatee. It's probably been like 2 weeks almost, or probably a week and a half since I've shaved.
Oh,
and I got like nothing there.
That's unfair.
It's great.
That's unfair.
Although
that's how it all starts. Yeah,
then when I'm like really lazy though, and I just get like a really gross looking goatee, since I only grow a goatee and there's like nothing on the cheeks, it looks like it's on purpose. People are probably like, ugh, that guy's making some wrong choices in his life. It's all worth it.
Tim's got so how long have you been growing that out, Tim?
Since I was doing a little bit, keeping it a little bit longer, but when we got quarantined back in March, I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna let it grow. I don't have to go to work. I don't have to go to any meetings, so I'm just gonna let it grow. And that's when it just ended up the way it's been. It's been growing and growing and growing. Other than like I said, the one time I had the pro person kind of trim it up for me, I've just been letting it grow out some more again. So, because before it started off the same. Like Andrew was the same. I did not want to grow anything because it just irritated my face, irritated my neck especially.
Yeah,
just drives me bonkers at that stage. So I just shave it all off. And then I got to the point where Micah has it, where I was starting, okay, I'm going to do the goatee because it doesn't really go that far. You get that around there, and I was able to trim everything else off, and I was going with that. And then I got lazy and didn't trim this part for the goatee, and then just kind of like, oh, you know what, I'm going to shave it down to about the same size, and then I just ended up doing the beard. But it was still pretty close to the face.
It slowly took over.
and then it slowly took over, especially during COVID, so.
Growing any kind of facial hair is a slippery slope.
Yes. So there is a progression. Sometimes it just takes over. It's just, Some people it's a decision for them. Some people they just let it happen, or it's like a no shave November, and that's when people start.
Yes, COVID's given plenty of time to grow some crazy hair, so
that too.
Gotten quite a lot of people I've met just super long hair. So, well, next question is from DatFast on Discord, one of our buddies from Retro Logic. He says, a lot of people kind of dunked on Splatoon 2, saying it was pretty much a port of the first game with different content and one extra mode. What would Nintendo have to do to Splatoon 3 to make it stand out? What would you like to see done to it personally?
This is why I have my prediction that Nintendo will come out with a Splatoon 3, because of that. Splatoon 2 to me was kind of like a Splatoon 1 Deluxe, almost, like it was a port with some new things added and things taken out, like the Mii universe stuff. But that's why I have that prediction. I know a lot of people don't think they'll do a Splatoon 3 on the same console, but I disagree with that. But yeah, you guys go ahead. I have some things written down, but go ahead. What would you guys do?
And
Splatoon 3.
The first thing that comes to my mind is Battle Royale. That seems like a good candidate for Nintendo to do if they were going to do a Battle Royale mode of some kind. And I guess secondly would be a overhaul of the art style of some sort. So maybe they could make it, man, I don't really know where to go with it exactly, but it kind of gives the vibes of Wind Waker style graphics, where it's kind of cartoony aesthetic, very stylized. And so maybe they just go full on realism for the next title.
People really gross, creepy looking squid faces.
people would hate that. And that's the thing is DatFast kind of alludes to it. People dunked on the second game. I don't really know if there's a ton they need to do to make.
Yeah.
Not every game that Nintendo makes has to jump leaps and bounds for each title, and everybody expects that thanks to games like Zelda. But look at games like Mario. Mario does have its leaps, but then it has New Super Mario Bros. For 6 installments. And now I'm not dunking on those because I played most of those and enjoyed all of them. I think they're great games. And sure, I got a little tired of the style, but they're still good games. I don't think everything has to be a drastic change between sequels. I like it when it happens. I also don't mind when it doesn't. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I feel like if they tried to change it too much, it just wouldn't really be Splatoon. I mean, I don't really know what you could change drastically without making it just a very different game that isn't what Splatoon is. So, I mean, I feel like it's kind of like every Call of Duty game. They're all essentially the same. Sometimes they have bigger changes, but there usually isn't too much different, just generally different weapons and a different campaign sort of a thing. I feel like it's new maps, which I feel like I haven't played Splatoon 2, but I'm assuming they have new maps and some new weapons at least.
Yeah, so they brought some of the older ones on and then made some new ones. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so I feel like that's pretty comparable to what Call of Duty does. I guess I know some people dunk on them a little bit for that, but
they make bank.
Yeah.
Yes. So, like I said, I got some notes on this. The easy thing, I guess, is to mimic Fortnite, right? So, you were mentioning, the Battle Royale type thing, or even that could be one of the modes, and then the other modes with what they already currently had, and maybe a couple new modes with it. But the other part of Fortnite that I think that Nintendo could make bank on is the skins, right? Or the outfits.
Oh, yeah.
Buying, different outfits for, $2.99 or whatever, however much, and being able to skin up your squid however you want. and it would be easily be able to fit a color scheme, still that Nintendo, whatever team you end up on. The extreme side of it, though, is I had to. I always have fun with these, but the extreme side is here's what I would think for Splatoon 3. If you wanted to make it completely different or do something really crazy, you release 2 things for Splatoon 3. There would be they would come up with some crazy name, right, for it, but it would be Splatoon 3. Maybe if there's another sisters type thing or 2 friends type of thing, there would be a version. There would be Splatoon 3 this character and Splatoon 3 this character.
Okay.
The first character is the single player campaign version of Splatoon 3, where that's released first, and it sets people up into learning the new environments and gets into using the new mechanics and weapons and stuff like that. You get familiar with it by playing the single player campaign. Then the second version is available, like a DLC or something, that is the multiplayer campaigns, where it brings back some of the old maps. It brings back some of the things that we do now that everybody enjoys, the versus parts, but since everybody was playing for the games in the campaign, they'll get used to being able to play multiplayer, right? They've already got the familiarity with it, and plus you learn who the big baddie is in the campaign that everybody is fighting in the multiplayer, or you're either fighting them or you're with him or her, the baddie, and that's your choices. So instead of just being a color and you're trying to get the most color on the map, if you get the most color on the map, you're either getting something to go against the big baddie or you're for the big baddie. So that's what I'm
kind of
cool.
Thanos mode of Fortnite almost.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was thinking kind of the same lines. Like they could expand and have like a bigger story mode. I think a save the world mode, which is what Fortnite originally pitched as. Yes. Splatoon would actually be really good candidate for that, where it's an online cooperative campaign where you can play with strangers or you can play with your friends that is story based. But
there we go.
Almost a story based salmon run, because they have that mode where it's like they come in waves and you have to work as a team to defend the spot. That would be cool. Cool.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Well, awesome.
There you go, Nintendo.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, Mr. Doug Bowser. So let's move to the next question here from Dan, also the other host, the other half of Retro Logic, asks this on Discord. Nintendo as a company is always innovating with physical fun. Labo, Ring Fit, Mario Kart Live, etc. I want to hear some predictions for what Nintendo's next weird accessory for the Switch will be. So, in our cut, unreleased episode, we talked a lot about the sequel to ARMS, which would be legs, with attachable Joy-Cons for your feet that you kick. You kick with, yes. Like you do with the. That was mostly a joke, but it's onto something.
I wasn't joking that much when I was talking about.
You gotta work out the legs too. You can't leave the arms out.
I think that could be awesome. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm gonna have to pass. I'll have to think of an answer. So one of you guys have something you think?
I have no idea what they're going to come out with. They always surprise me.
Nintendo is always surprising, like something you never even thought of, right? Like the Mario Kart Live. I would have never thought Nintendo would do something like that, or Labo even,
Well, I remember the sneak peek at the Ring Fit, and I was like, what on earth is this thing? Like, what? I just was blown away by how weird that was, and that everybody
loved it.
Yeah, man.
Actually, but what really helped is the backing of a lot of trainers using it and saying, "Hey, this is a good workout." That's what I saw a lot of when that came out. But one of my predictions for the Nintendo dads was a bonus prediction, or my wild prediction, and that's Labo 2.0. Now, what is Labo 2.0? Who knows? It could have to do with Legos, because Legos they have a partnership with Legos. Could be part of Labo 2.0. Could be part of their Mindstorm stuff. Who knows? Or it could be something 3D printed. Nintendo comes out with a cheaper 3D printer you can connect to the Switch and create your own amiibo or whatever.
That'd be awesome.
Because you look at the Metroid, not Metroid. So you got Metroid on the brain. The Mario Kart Live with the AR camera on the cart made me think of the days when they used to do peripherals for like the Game Boy, where you could get a cart with a camera on it. Mm-hmm. Well, they could come out with, since you can connect to the camera via Wi-Fi, it's wireless and everything with the Mario Kart Live. They could come out with another AR type based accessory that's a camera on a tripod, cheap to buy, hopefully still pretty good with the pixels and all that kind of stuff, but have AR games that you can do. And one that I wrote down was Mario Party Live, where you could actually use objects around the house to create a board and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, do the same exact tech that they have for Mario Kart Live, but
yep, and then you just have all the same stuff, but Mario Party Live.
I mean, that would be a fantastic mobile game. Like if you could do it Pokemon Go style.
That's true.
Oh man, Tim, they need to hire you right now. That's such a good idea. That's
like I said, I have a lot of fun with these type of things. I just Nintendo's wild with their stuff, so I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to be wild with my predictions.
What came to my mind while you were talking about that is a much less wild prediction, but still something I'm not thinking they'll do. But hey, I hope is a fully realized VR headset that is for the Switch. So they had the Labo VR. Yeah. But I'm talking like something you actually strap to your head, uses the Joy-Cons as
take the Joy-Cons off.
Yeah.
Use the Joy-Cons.
You just play controller. Like this. With your hands up by your head.
You gotta hold them up there. Yeah.
And I think there's already several games out there with VR support through for the VR Labo kit. And they're mostly novelty, but if they just brought out a headset that then had some sort of game with it that was like Link's Crossbow Training 2.
That'd be cool.
That's how Metroid Prime 4 gets released as a VR exclusive.
When that Super Nintendo Switch comes out with the better screen, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
They could do the VR better with that, because that was the whole complaint about the current screen, right? Not high enough resolution to be played in VR mode for a long enough period of time.
Yeah. And the Joy-Cons, I feel like, are the perfect little VR controllers as well. Exactly. Their fit in the hands and the feel.
Yeah. And then you just add a couple of those ankle things they're going to make. And then you got the full VR experience.
For legs.
That's right.
You buy
the legs and the arms.
You buy each of the Labo 2. You buy each of the Labo 2 accessories. There's legs. There's the VR headset, which is a full head. And then gloves that hold the controller. Yes. All sold separately at $100 a piece.
Don't forget the chest piece Mike was talking about, right?
Oh yeah, the chest piece.
You gotta get you gotta buy extra Joy-Cons so you can get the rumble in there.
Yeah.
So when you get shot, oh man.
A vest of 100 Joy-Cons for $10,000, but it can simulate you getting shot anywhere because
exactly.
Because of the HD rumble fully realized in a full suit.
Oh man,
I want to see someone draw that up. I want that design.
I hope that answers your question, Dan, on weird Nintendo accessory.
When you and your 40 friends get together and you bring out your Joy-Cons, you can put it all together and one person can play.
Yeah, I do hope for more of this weird stuff. I really like Mario Kart Live. I think it's a one-hit wonder, unfortunately, and they're not going to offer too much more support to it. They're not going to add more characters. But I hope the tech just realizes itself in another iteration of something. Like you said, I mean, you could do the Mario Party Live. That could be toys that have AR. So they're like remote control toys of some kind.
Why not use the amiibos still? I mean, you still have amiibos.
Yeah.
Why not be able to pick those up? You put them out there. It's another way to use the amiibos.
Oh, so now we're talking Amiibo Festival too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sold.
Thank you for the question, Dan. That was a good one. I enjoyed that topic. All right, our next question comes from Third Strongest Mole on Discord. He asks, what is your dream Nintendo controller? And then he gives his. So here's a good starting point example. The shape and gyro functionality of the Switch Pro controller, the face button layout, the big A button in the middle, with an analog shoulder buttons of the GameCube controller, which make it
easily the
good
best
pick.
shoulder buttons,
and the concave buttons and D-pad of the SNES controller. So his idea is to just take the best parts of every controller that has come out by Nintendo and combine them, and I think that's phenomenal. Great idea. I don't know if I can come up with a better answer than that. You guys got any ideas?
Go ahead, Micah.
Yes, mine's I guess pretty similar. I all I need is essentially just a Switch Pro controller, but with the GameCube shoulder buttons. Practically all I need, and just for fun, throw in that third little handle part from the Nintendo 64 controller, just in case.
There you go. I like that.
Now you've tried the PS5 controller. What did you think of that experience as a controller? Because that one was pretty like cutting edge as far as rumble and trigger feedback and stuff.
Pretty nice, I guess.
Any
Not enough games to try it out with, probably.
Yeah, well, I tried out the only thing I played, well, I guess was this Astro's Playroom or whatever it's called. That was pretty fun. And then I played a little Fortnite, and I didn't even notice they have like the adaptive trigger pressure thing. So when you're like shooting something, it gives a little resistance, like you would be actually pulling a trigger on a gun or something. But I guess I was just too focused on the game. I didn't even notice that at first. So like, yeah, so how was that adaptive trigger thing? And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I didn't even notice. But I mean, once they were pointed out, it is pretty cool. So I guess if I could take maybe a little bit from the PS5, I might take that over too. But.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with you guys on Sam's stuff, or Third Strongest Mole stuff. His suggestion, it was like, I can't think of anything better than what he described there, but I was like, okay, let me try to come up with something. And I do have to say that I like the idea of where Hori goes with their Split Pad Pro, I think it's what it's called. The bigger, Joy-Cons that they came out with the what is it? What was that game called? The Mecha, can't think of the name. The Mex game, the Damon Machina,
yeah,
Damon Machina,
Damon X Machina, yeah,
the Damon X Machina, yeah. So they came out with the controllers there, and then they got newer versions now, but it doesn't have all the same functionality as a Pro controller. So I was just like, just give me the Pro controller, with all the same functionality, but I'm gonna add, like what Micah said, was the better trigger buttons, but split that apart so I can connect it either as a controller by itself or split it and put it on my Switch. So, because that's the only thing I think the Hori controllers are missing. You can't take it off the Switch and use it separately as a regular controller. It's only powered by the Switch. So once you take it off the Switch, you can't use them.
Yeah.
And I would love to be able to, because that's why I like how I got my setup right now. I don't know if you guys can see this right now, but I have these butterfly
Yeah.
things that I clipped onto my Joy-Cons, so it gives me a nice grip on it. And I can take them off and put it on something like this. I got this adapter that I can just slide them on and use it as a regular, controller. So I'll take them off real quick.
Yeah. I think a first party developed thing like that would be really cool.
Yeah, so I can just, when I play this way, because I like being able to use, because of muscle memory, use the same type of controller between, playing docked or in handheld. Yeah. But I love the feel of the Pro controller now that I've got one. I got one for Christmas and love it. Love how it feels. And I'm leaning towards that new trend of people getting where you just use the tablet and get a clip to put on your, Pro controller and be able to play with your Pro controller with this clip to it because of how it feels. But that's not a very good way to, travel with your Switch with all that stuff, you know. So, but that's where I would go, and I would add one more thing, but I'm going to save it for the later question we got from Chris HL.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask that one next. But before I do, I do want to shout out to so Micah has an Oculus, and I really like the controllers for the Oculus Rift.
Oh yes,
I like their feel. I like the buttons feel good. So have those with HD rumble, and the adaptive triggers, and maybe some cool stuff like. There's been experiments with things like it heats up or cools down depending on the climate you're in, and maybe lights up and does things along those lines. The more immersive the controller gets, like they're trying to do with the PlayStation 5 controller, and the Switch arguably was designed that way with the HD rumble and the Joy-Cons, but hasn't been utilized at all for it. I think the more immersive the controller can get, the better. I think that will help the experience. And with a little tweaking, the Oculus controllers could be dockable. Slide in there. And I would love that, because I really like the feel of those controllers, and just the overall design they went with, where it's something that you can use free moving, because I'm one of the people that liked the Wii and liked the Wii remote and nunchuck setup.
Oh yeah, I liked it too.
The only thing I didn't like was the cord in the middle for the nunchuck. And Oculus kind of hits the best of those with how they have their controller set up. I know not everybody's into that controller, but I really like it. I like it a lot more than the other VR controllers, which don't have the traditional joystick and button layouts always. So there's that, and then there's also really cool stuff has come for the Valve Index with the haptic feedback on finger pulls and things, in addition to having those buttons. So somewhere I think VR is going to tap in and come into the Switch's design for the next big thing. Maybe the Switch 2, not the Super Switch, but
maybe the new Super Switch.
Hey, if they come with the Super Switch with new Joy-Cons, that kills two birds with one stone.
Yes.
Get rid of all those lawsuits that are coming with the Joy-Cons. Yeah, I like that question a lot. Thanks for asking that, Sam, third strongest mole. In line with that question, we have from Chris HL94 on Discord asks, which classic controller would you like recreated for the Switch? And when we have a Switch Pro, he mentions that he wants a version of the NES Advantage arcade style controller. Good pick. Yeah, that would be really cool to have something like that. So for me, what classic controller would I like recreated for the Switch? I want to say, I'm not going to say GameCube because it is compatible already with the GameCube. So what? I mean, what other choices do we have?
For me, it was for the GameCube was the Nyko Airflow. It was a GameCube controller with built-in fans for your palms, and it kept your hands nice and cool and not sweaty.
I had not heard about
that thing. I love that thing, and that's why I was saying like I would take a Pro controller with that, or build it into the controller as I was talking about with Sam's question. Build it into that split playhead, where I can get some fans in there to keep my hands cool.
So for the video viewers, it's like a really bad zoomed up screenshot, so you can kind of see the pores on this side. Yeah, that is interesting.
Cool.
I love that controller because I could just keep playing and my hands wouldn't get sweaty or clammy or anything.
I think Kyle could have used that. I feel like his
our buddy in high school. No,
his hands are always really warm when you always hand off the controller.
Yeah, and you're
like, playing.
Ooh.
It's like real toasty.
Yes,
I mean, it was nice if it was cold outside or where you're playing, I guess. But
yeah, that's a good pick. Classic controller. I don't think they'll make an N64 one, and I don't really think the N64 was very practical. It looked cool. It is unique. Having a third thing, you only have two hands. You don't need a third one.
Awesome.
I have my.
It's for all different types of play styles.
Yep.
Did anyone ever actually use that left one though?
Everybody used the center and the side.
The middle and the right.
Although
to be fair, when I'm playing like older Mario games or even Mario Maker, I always use the D-pad instead of the analog stick. So I don't know if they had a Mario Maker on the 64 and I'd matured to this level, I would probably be using that left stick. Except you can't then hit like the Z button. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I thought they had a Z trigger.
It was a trigger on the back. Yeah.
It was a trigger on the back. It was a Z trigger on the back of that. With
the left one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or the middle one.
Oh, yeah.
One. They didn't have one on the left.
So if I was using the left one, then you
have to reach
have it.
Really weird around.
You have your really long middle finger like reaching over to hit that.
Yeah. You have to have Z1, Z2.
Yeah.
I would really like a come back with the I don't remember what they're called. The Wii Classic. You attach them to the Wii remote and they're the classic controller. The second one of that, which really just looks like a Pro controller, and I really enjoyed that. So I don't really need that to come back because it is basically the Pro controller.
Yes,
but I shout out to it as being an awesome controller for the Wii.
I don't really feel the need for any old classic controllers, to be honest.
I've seen third-party ones with the Super Nintendo controller, but they add double joysticks. And I would really like that, like an official thing that was a enhanced Super Nintendo controller that had the two triggers and it had...
Wasn't that the 8-bit do controllers?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool to get something like that. I'm still... I guess it's just because I'm used to the Pro controller. I prefer the joysticks to be offset. That makes sense, yeah. The left side being higher, the right side being lower, rather than the PlayStation style, which is towards both are on the bottom. Yeah.
And the Wii U Pro controller, I think they were both on top.
Yeah, they were both on top.
I feel like I generally adapt to controllers pretty quick. I don't really mind too much when I'm playing on. So
I will say the Wii remote, my son has been able to pick that up and use it. It's very intuitive because it's just a remote. I mean, and he's not even he's not even like big into remotes. We don't watch a ton of TV. He's not using the remote all the time. But something that is a little more casual. I hate that term. I hate calling people casual gamers. But something that's a little bit more accessible, I guess, would be cool to have a controller that didn't feel so complex. I feel like the Pro controller hits that pretty well, though. It's not very complicated. It's pretty to the point. Very comfortable. Yeah. Great question, Chris. Thank you for asking. So, moving right along here, we have... I think we got, 3 more questions here. So this one is from Antonio, asks on Twitter. My question for Tim is, what makes Metroid so special to you? And do you prefer 2D or 3D Metroid titles? And we'll expand this one. Micah can answer this one as well. I'm not going to be able to give a good answer because I have sadly neglected
all that
3D
is good
Metroid. Yeah. So Tim,
I didn't get into Metroid until much later than a lot of other people, especially in my age range, right? So a lot of people got into Metroid because of Metroid 1 on the NES. I didn't have an NES. My parents didn't want to get me one. I won't go into that whole story, but when I got the Super Nintendo, I missed out on Super Metroid. I didn't play Metroid until the Game Boy Advance games. Between that Zero Mission and Fusion and all that kind of stuff, and then Prime, and then I went back to play Metroid and Super Metroid and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so for me about the games is just it kind of got me back into games because there was a period where I wasn't into it, and then when I got back into it, it was around the GameCube, Game Boy Advance time frame, and when those games came out, it was like just wow, these Metroid games are awesome. Now what was funny is like playing Fusion and Zero Mission. I was like, wow, these are what the Metroid games are like. And then I researched it and found out that, okay, so they got Super Metroid and they got the original Metroid. I went back to play the original Metroid and I was like, ugh, what is this? All the, life enhancements or whatever you call it, all the things that they did to make the game better. It wasn't in the first game, obviously. So it was just like, oh, this is hard to play. Which is why I liked Zero Mission, because I could play the first game, essentially. And not have to worry about playing it the old way. So, but in regards to the question, do I prefer 2D or 3D? I hope this doesn't sound like a cop-out, but it's both. Because I want... it's basically... going back to, let's go back to the thing where, like I said, GameCube and Game Boy Advance era was when I started playing games again. And that's when they came out with Prime and Fusion in the same year, right? In 2002. So playing those two games, I had two different styles of Metroid I could play and get into. It was the 2D version and it was the 3D version. And it was breaking it up. It was like, I think the Prime version came out first, and then later on the Game Boy Advance 2D version came out.
Right. Yeah.
So
it was very much like pushed as this is Metroid. It's both.
Yes, it is both. And it helps break it up. You're not just getting 3D or 2D. And you think about it the same way with Zelda games, right? The Zelda games, you can get the 2D version or the 3D version. So, and it helps break up the monotony of it being the same. Arguably, I know we talk about Zelda being the same for many years before Breath of the Wild with changes and little bits here and there, but it's still helps break it up being between 2D and 3D. And I think did the same with Metroid, and I would hope they would do the same for the new Metroid Prime 4, come out with a new 2D version of a game around the same time, the same year.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I think that's
I guess if I didn't make it clear, what makes it special to me is it's different. For me, it seems different from all the other Nintendo games. It's a little bit more mature than Zelda, it seems like. And there's a story there that just seems like it would be really cool to see in a movie, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I really enjoy Metroid games.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim.
Sure.
Micah, you want to give a crack at that question as well?
Yeah. I actually never really played the 2D ones that much when they were first coming out. One of my cousins, I don't even remember which one it was, to be honest, had one, and I played some of that, and I definitely enjoyed it. And my first Nintendo console was actually, well, besides like a Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, was a GameCube. And I just remember seeing the Metroid Prime trailer, which it probably looks like really terrible and hokey nowadays. But I just remember seeing that and be like, "Oh man, that looks awesome. That looks incredible." And yeah, I don't know. It was everything I imagined it to be. It lived up to my hype. But I have since gone back and played. They had one of the Metroid games on the Wii U during when you like first got it during their special where you could get like one game a month for like 30 cents or something for like Balloon Fight. I can't remember if it was the original Metroid or Super Metroid, but I have since played through that and enjoyed that. So I just need them to release a port of all their 2D games onto the Switch so I can finally actually play all of those. But yeah, so I guess I have to lean a little more towards the 3D Metroid.
Yeah. There are those out there that are not fans of the 3D and just want the 2D. So they balance each other out. Micah's over hype enthusiasm for 3D Metroid completely takes care of any other naysayer. So
and Marty's the opposite, or he's like totally 2D, no 3D.
Just wait till they release Prime 4 and he loves it. He's gonna love it. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. I mean, I guess just talk a little bit more. I guess the just like the lore of the original Metroid Prime, it's like they don't like shove it down your throat, but you can like scan like everything and learn about the world and why it is the way it is. I just really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yes, and I do have to say, Andrew, when you get the Wii U and you can get the trilogy on there, download that. I actually liked the trilogy better on the Wii because of the updated controls they gave it, the motion controls.
Yeah.
Because I felt it immersed you even more into the game than when it was on the GameCube, the first two games. So
gonna have to bust out my zapper.
But no, it was just like using, like you said, the Joy-Con and not the Joy-Con, the Wii U remote and the nunchuck. But just there was one of the motions that I really dug was to open the door or open a control. You actually used it to turn Samus's arm, and stuff like that, and pull it back out and all that kind of stuff. It was really cool, and then you can aim at things. And I'm
telling you guys, Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a VR title.
There we go. All right.
It's going to launch. Super Nintendo Switch is going to be a VR console, and Metroid Prime 4 is a launch title. There you go.
There we go.
You heard it first. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for asking the question, Antonio. Another question from Twitter. We have Joel, a.k.a. Falcon, on Twitter, who asks, what is the over-under of Metroid Return making its way to Switch this year? What do you guys think? You think Tim says yes. You've already talked about it in your want list and in predictions.
35th anniversary stuff, yeah, because it's part of the whole Metroid thing, right? It's Metroid 2 essentially, but a remake. So the over/under, I think it's going to come out because I think it's part of what Doug Bowser said about 3DS games coming to the Switch, and it was a game that came out at the end of the 3DS's, right at when Switch was blowing up, essentially, towards the end of 2017. When it was blowing up, Mario Odyssey was coming out, everybody's all hype about the Switch, they wanted one, they can't find one, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, some of us Nintendo diehards tried playing it, and it was really hard to get through because we just wanted to get back to the Switch. So I think that game needs to be given its love by being ported to the Switch. And I think it's one of those things that Doug Bowser was alluding to, the 3DS ports. And I think my hope is that it would be that it would be before the end of the year. But it might be over, but still be in the fiscal year 2021 for Nintendo, which ends at the end of March 2022 for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I think it's been rumored enough that I think there's some credit to it that this is possible. It's not really what I want for the series. I'll be honest. I think it's a great game, but I would rather a new 2D Metroid or a different 2D Metroid got remade. I think I don't know. People don't want Super Metroid touched, but I think Metroid Fusion would be cool, and like you said, Zero Mission. Instead of porting those over to get a Samus Returns style 3D upgrade, but it's still a 2D game, that would be really cool. That's kind of.
I'd take that too. I'd take that also.
What do you think, Micah?
Well, I'm hopeful it will come out this year, because that's definitely one that I would pick up for sure. And I'm just gonna give my prediction: October 14th this year. That's when it will release.
Nice.
So,
wow, very specific. Yeah.
If that is somehow correct, I will never let you forget it.
I think we just owe you that game. I think we'll just have to buy it for you. Unless they charge the full, unless they charge a full 60 for it, which, might be the case. Even though it's a port of a 3DS game that was like $40. But
nice.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. And then our last question, which is going to take us down memory lane here, and that is from Oso on Discord, who was on the show last week. Our buddy Eli. He asks, what is the first Nintendo game that you remember playing? Micah, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, well, I actually had the Sega Genesis instead of a Nintendo 64 when I was a kid, which did have some great games. So I would go over to a friend's house to fill my Nintendo 64 needs. And so the first game I remember playing, Nintendo game I remember playing, is actually the Smash Brothers. Although I guess it's probably predated by the Game Boy. I'm so bad with remembering years on when things came out. So I probably actually played the original Mario Bros. Or something. They had some Mario remake on the Game Boy, but yeah, my first real memory of a Nintendo system is Smash Brothers 64.
Nice. That's a good one. Tim, you want to give your first game memories?
Like I alluded to earlier, my parents wouldn't let me get an NES because of I had an Atari 5200 that they already bought. And they were like, "We're not." And this was when the video game crash happened in the mid '80s. And they were like, "We're not buying any other video game systems. You got a 5200," which I liked. I had no problem with that. But all my friends, were getting Nintendo Entertainment Systems, and I wanted that. Plus, I got to play Super Mario Brothers in Kmart for the first time on the display, and that was my first experience with Super Mario Bros. On the display. NES.
Nice.
Yep.
That's Mario is a first game for everybody, because so I am going to give an answer that is gonna crack up quite a few people. But some of my earliest memories of playing a video
Not
game.
Gonna be Clock, is it?
Clock. Yep. It's funny enough. That's one I remember. I distinctly remember playing as a kid. It came out. I had this looked up. Clock SNES. Let's look it up here. Released.
Yeah, I had never even heard of Clock before you told me about it in high school.
Yeah, it actually released just before I was born. So just to date me a little bit. I'm not super old. I'm not a super youngin' either, but not to make anybody that's older than me feel old. Yeah, so I
not at all.
I distinctly remember playing Clock and Super Mario World are some of my earliest memories with games. And then I don't know. I had a Game Boy Color. My parents had a Game Boy Color, so it was like a family system. And I played Pokemon Silver, but I think that was after. That era, which that had to be because Pokemon Silver came out late 90s, I believe. So My earliest memories are Plock, which is a good little meme over with our buddies at Retro Logic, and it's spread to the Nintendo dads. Everybody loves Plock. Plock is the way. Plock is where I started, guys.
Nice. So, way to represent.
But I probably I have more memories. Well, no, I have a good amount of memories playing Plock, but I never got that far. It's a pretty hard game, so I never really got that far. I have a lot more memories and knowledge of Super Mario World, which is a game I grew up on, and yeah, I've 100% that game multiple times and know like all the nooks and crannies of that game. So that's a fantastic game. And one
nice.
that you can just keep coming back to with how big and immersive the game was as a platformer, and with all the power-ups and things you could do. Man, yeah, so many good memories of the Super Nintendo era. I was born into gaming, and unlike other people, I never stopped. So just kept on going. We had a Super Nintendo, since we're on this track. We had a Super Nintendo as our only home console till the GameCube came out. And when the GameCube came out, that's when I purchased. That's when we purchased an N64, and I bought it as a gift for the family at Christmas. I remember that. I was still pretty young, but it was $12 for a Nintendo 64, and and then my dad, I bought the console. My dad got bunches of games for it for us kids for Christmas, and we had like everything. We had Mario Kart, Super Smash Bros. Because we're coming in at the end of the console's life cycle, because the GameCube had just come out, and so all those games were cheap, and they were all like some of the greatest games of all time. And then we didn't get a GameCube. My parents were not on the like, we need to get the newest console right away, because at that point in their adult life they had kind of fallen off the gaming track. Super Nintendo is where it stopped for them. But then with the introduction of the Wii, they were like, we got to get this. This is the thing, and it's healthy. It's healthy for our kids. That's what that was straight up the thought process.
Look,
and they're like, we're gonna get exercise, like... yeah, and then we're bowling with like.
Yes.
I remember my dad getting so upset. We'd both strikes while sitting on the couch, and he'd have to get up and like do this whole spiel, like actual bowling to get it to work. Yeah, good times.
Got to do the motion. Come on.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the question, Eli. And man, that wraps it up for questions and topics we have to cover. And I think that is a good place to call it good for tonight's episode. We don't want to take up too much of Tim's night. But
this was awesome. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I guess we'll end off here. Tim, do you want to plug to your show and various spots people can find and follow you?
Of course, sure. Yeah, my show, the Nintendo Dads. No, the Nintendo Dads is where I come from. Actually, just like many of you, fans of shows like the Nintendo Dads, and offered to help them with. They were doing chat and stuff like that through Line, and I helped them transition them into Discord as you see it today. So, and that's where I came in and helped them with the back end stuff, and then they were like, hey, come join the Nintendo Dads. So, and that's when I got to join. So, I'm happy to be a member of the Nintendo Dads podcasting crew, along with the other shows that we do. There's like the Dads After Dark, the Dad Crossing crew, or Dad Crossing crew, and now Retro Logic. They handle a lot of the retro games. So, and then of course my dinner table. I do have that part of the Nintendo Dads podcast stuff, where the dinner table is for the community. Essentially, it's the community's podcast. And Andrew's been on it. Micah, you're welcome to come join sometime. Even not as a Patreon, I would love to have you come on as well. So
sounds good.
I think it would be cool. But yeah, there you can find me and the other Nintendo Dads on Twitter under Nintendo Dads, and everywhere else in social media. Nintendo Dads, you'll find us, especially YouTube, where you can find a lot of our video reviews, which Andrew has done as well for us.
Having a blast with that. That's some
Yeah.
great content over there.
If you get one of those Metroid Prime 4 copies, I'm happy to do a review for
You're
you.
happy to do that, right? Yes, I bet you are.
I think there's a line of other people first. Tim at the very front of that line.
So for me personally, my Twitter, and I refer to Twitter because that's kind of like, I guess, the home social base for a lot of my stuff, and that's NeoPrime33. You find me there and everywhere else in social media and gaming sphere. NeoPrime33, you'll find me pretty much. And, Nintendo is my username. Sony, Microsoft, NeoPrime33, you'll find me there. My player ID. So come chat me up or follow me or whatever. I'd love doing that kind of stuff. So, but thanks for having me on, guys. And I love listening to what you guys did, especially that top 10 music thing. That was fun and different to listen to.
Oh man, we had a blast.
And of course, your favorite games of 2020. That was fun to listen to as well.
Yeah, we have a blast making those lists. I will say the editing work that went into that made it so. I wish I could make every episode as musically infused as that, but alas.
Also, a lot harder to choose my top 10 music than I thought it would be.
Yes.
There's just so many good ones I kept finding again.
Yes.
Well, if you, like Tim, want to listen to those and many other of our Nintendo Pals episodes, be sure to subscribe to us on your podcast listening app of choice. We are on pretty much everything, and if we are not there, reach out to me and I'll get us on there. Except for Pandora. I've tried. They won't let me on. I don't know what the deal is there. Special thanks to VGR for the music we use throughout the podcast episode. And if you would like to follow us on social media, we are out on Twitter and Instagram. We're at Nintendo Pals on Twitter and at Nintendo Pals Podcast on Insta. We are also on YouTube, where I think this might be the first video we upload to YouTube. Let's fingers crossed this technically all works out. And yeah, just again, definitely go to check out the Nintendo Dads, check out all their stuff. And Tim didn't mention this, but they also do Twitch streaming, and that's a great spot to go over there and check out.
You're doing a better plugging job than me. I completely forgot about Twitch and Patreon and all that kind of stuff.
Oh man, there's too many things to remember, but Twitch is a great spot if you want to go and subscribe to them on Twitch and see live content there. They do lots of gameplay and reactions and reviews. So great stuff. Great content. These guys inspired me to do what we're doing here. So it's an honor to have Tim on the show. With that, I guess that's all the housekeeping, right, Mike? I don't know.
I think so.
Well, with that, we will leave the show with a closing remark by Mr. Tim Off.
There is no spoon.
Just like there is no Prime 4. Sad. Just kidding. All right, good night, everybody. We'll talk at y'all next time.